Greetings and welcome back to another episode of The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, the show where I, the curator, discuss my personal favorite show of all time, personal favorite franchise of all time, Doctor Who. And today we will be continuing our conversation regarding the Sea Devils with the most recent appearance of these characters on the show, Legend of the Sea Devils, which also happens to be the most recent episode of Doctor Who at the moment, as of the recording of this video, that is. And also Jodie Whittaker's penultimate episode as the Doctor. However, before that, we usually start the episode by talking about significant birthdays of people heavily associated with the franchise of Doctor Who. And interestingly enough, I couldn't find any this week. Now, granted, full disclosure, this is being recorded on Saturday, the 7th of May. So, between last week's episode and this week's episode, I could not find a single person who has celebrated their birthday over the past week or will have celebrated their birthday by Monday, which is when this episode will be released. And on. And maybe I've just been looking in the wrong places, but I have been incredibly unfortunate in finding anyone this week in particular. However, something that did actually happen over the course of the most recent week is something really worth talking about. This week was May the 4th week, which was also followed by Revenge of the 5th. That's the common fandom name for it. But yeah. It was commonly known as Star Wars Day. May the 4th is a day of celebration for people who are fans of Star Wars. Even though this show is mainly a Doctor Who-centric show, hence this picture. Obviously, the relationship between Star Wars and Doctor Who is just too tight to miss an oversight. And while I do try to keep this show primarily focused on Doctor Who, Star Wars Day is just something to celebrate all year round, and I'm happy for all my many Star Wars friends who have celebrated, like myself, Star Wars Day over the past week. So on behalf of all of us over here at the Greatest Show in the Galaxy, I would like to wish all of my good Star Wars friends happy Star Wars Day. Live long and prosper from R2D2. So yes, now that we got that bit of attempted comedy out of myself out of the way, the Sea Devils, as I mentioned, have previously appeared on Doctor Who 3 times up until this point. The Sea Devils, their debut episode in 1972, Warriors from the Deep, where they appeared alongside their terrestrial cousins, the Silurians, in 1983, and in Legend of the Sea Devils, where they have appeared alongside the current Doctor, at the moment still, Jodie Whittaker, the 13th Doctor. And if you're looking for a full review of that episode, you're more than welcome to check out my own review that I did a couple of weeks ago on my channel, 50 Shades of Geek. This is not going to be a full review of that episode. This is just me breaking down the episode scene by scene, similar to what I did last week with the Sea Devils. It'll still be slightly an easier job for me personally because it was a much shorter episode. As a matter of fact, I believe it might be the second shortest episode in the entire Jodie Whittaker era. Most of the Jodie Whittaker episodes have tended to be somewhere around 50 minutes to an hour. This episode, I believe, is the shortest of them all. I believe the only episode shorter than this might actually be Orphan 55, but I'm not 100% sure on that, so please don't quote me on that. It's just, it's one of the shorter episodes from Jodie Whittaker, and given the fact that last week's episode was a 6-part serial, this would tend to make things much easier for me. Obviously, much like last week's episode, I have rewatched the episode so that I can better commentate on it and better give a much better breakdown of it. It was an Easter special. I suppose I should start with that. But in going into the actual episode itself, the episode opens in 1907 in a distant village in China, I believe. I don't think the main setting of the episode has been explicitly specified, but I believe it has some West Asian influence. The setting. So yeah, in a dark and stormy night in 1907, a mysterious figure walks to an old time village where she immediately instills fear in some of the and the faces of some of the people of the village. One in particular, a young man who then goes to warn his father, telling him that she's after the statue. She's later seen going to a statue of a gigantic sea monster, which was later revealed to be a sea devil, holding a man in his hand. He then starts to chisel away certain pieces from that statue, which then begins to starts cracking and breaking apart, while the old man tells to his son that it is time for him to defend the statue against anyone who would choose to steal from it, letting him know that whoever this woman is, she has no idea what she's about to unleash, and that he warns him that failing uh, to protect the statue, the duty of protecting their family's secret will now lie with him. Talking to the young boy. After, the old man confronts this mysterious woman, uh, telling her that she has no idea what she's about to unleash, and she replies by saying, "I was about to say the same thing to you before I kill you." They then engage in a sword fight while the statue itself begins to come to life, even going so far as actually blinking the immovable statue. The entire statue then explodes, breaks apart, and then proceeds to kill the old man right in front of his son. Cue opening credits of the episode, which is then, obviously, as I mentioned, titled Legend of the Sea Devils. Then the episode proceeds by opening with a beautiful shot on the beach where the TARDIS lands, and the Doctor and Yaz quickly come out of of the TARDIS, realizing that they've landed in the wrong century. The Doctor in brand new and a previously unseen outfit starts to scan the environment with her sonic screwdriver before being distracted once again by Dan's crazy, ridiculous outfit, which apparently Yaz convinced him to wear. This is a better look at the very pirate inspired outfit that Dan was given to wear by Yaz. But unfortunately, this fun bit of banter is quickly interrupted when the Doctor's earring begins to magnetize away from her, effectively dragging her ear along with it. The Doctor then sonics the earring, demagnetizing it, causing it to stop, pulling her towards wherever it is the magnetic force was dragging her. And then she proceeds to scan the area and throw a stone out onto the water, which then gets immediately magnetized all the way to the side by some unseen force. The Doctor starts to realize, the Doctor then determines that the this mysterious magnetic force is the reason for drawing the TARDIS off course to where they happen to be from where they wanted to go. But this quick revelation is quickly distracted by screams of terror from the nearby village. The Doctor and friends immediately rush towards the village itself to investigate what the cause of the terror is, which the Doctor then quickly realizes is a sea devil, a creature she has previously encountered twice before, at least on the television, that is. Once in her third incarnation, as mentioned in last week's episode, and also once in her fifth incarnation alongside the Silurians, as I mentioned previously in this episode. She then proceeds to call this creature by the fandom given name to it, a sea devil, to which he replies disdainly by calling her a land parasite. Uh, this quickly leads into some quippy and funny banter between the Doctor and this Sea Devil commander, while all the while Yaz and Dan prepare a trap to uh, to capture the Sea Devil so that the Doctor can further interrogate him. Unfortunately for them, their plan goes awry when a flying ship, appears in the distance, which the Sea Devil then reveals to be his own. The Sea Devil then takes uh, the Sea Devil then takes his leave by running and jumping on board the ship from land. The Doctor then begins to investigate. Uh, sorry, the Doctor then begins to investigate the area around the village, including the dead body that has been killed by the Sea Devil itself. She then, she then notices the young man who watched his father die right in front of his eyes. He's trying to kill the mysterious woman who attacked him, which is then revealed to be Madame Ching, the pirate queen. Queen, sorry. The Doctor quickly disperses the quick skirmish between the two figures, asking Madame Ching why was she there in the first place and what was her interest with the statue of the Sea Devil and what the Sea Devil was doing there. Madame Ching quickly reveals that Madame Ching then promptly reveals that what she's really after is the lost treasure of the Flor de la Mar, which Dan remarks he thought went down over the course of Sumatra. Quick side note: it was revealed in Doctor Who Flux, series 13 of the show, that Dan has an affinity for history, even at sometimes volunteering to do tour guides at the Liverpool Museum. So that's uh, arguably how Dan knows about the lost treasure of the Flor de la Mar. Madame Ching then reveals to the Doctor and friends that, according to legend, the lost treasure was recovered by a captain named Chi Han, whose ship was apparently lost at sea somewhere. So she reveals that she's looking for Chi Han's ship so that she can recover the treasure for as yet unspecified reasons. She then moves on and returns to her own ship. Now, uh, in the meantime, Dan tries to comfort the young man who lost his father, who then promptly decides to sneak on board Madame Ching's ship in an attempt to try and kill her. Um, Unfortunately for which Dan reluctantly agrees to follow. In the meantime, the Doctor and Yaz go back to the TARDIS to try and find the Sea Devil in question. After being unsuccessful in locating the Sea Devil and his flying ship, the Doctor comes up with an alternative plan, going back in time to try and find the lost treasure of the Flor de la Mar, or rather, to try and find Chi Han's ship and find whatever Madame Ching is after, so that he can recover it and bargain with the Sea Devil to leave the people of Earth in peace. Meanwhile, back on the ship, Dan and the young man, which I apologize, it happened to me during my review of the episode. I cannot quite remember the name of the of this character. I believe his name doesn't even really get mentioned too often, as at least not as often as Chihan or Madame Ching. But yeah, that's my excuse at the moment. So yeah, as I mentioned, both uh, Dan and this man are being were found by Madame Ching and presumed as stowaways. So she captured them and tied them from their feet and dangled them several feet above the ground. How one person was able to do that on her own is a bit of a mystery to me, but well, it's a Doctor Who episode. It's not really meant. You're not really supposed to think too hard on it. In any case, something that Dan has noticed pretty much right away was that Madame Ching, the Pirate Queen, was on her own on this ship. There was no crew. It was just her flying, or rather sailing solo on her ship. So he inquires her what happened to her crew, which then she then reluctantly reveals her tragic backstory, claiming that she starts by letting them go and revealing to both of them that she was given an ear that belonged to one of her crew members on her original ship. She then goes to reveal that all of her crew were taken prisoner by another band of pirates and bandits, and that there's a ransom to pay in order for their release. She then goes on to explain that the crew that has been taken hostage also happens to include her two sons, who are in the ages of 3 and 6. She then promptly apologizes to the young man for killing his father over her search for the treasure, but uh, if she doesn't recover the treasure, the longer she takes to finding the treasure, the less likely she is of seeing her crew, and more importantly, her children. Dan and the young man then agree to help her look for the treasure as part of her crew, uh, which she then reluctantly agrees, since she is kind of lacking in the crew department at the moment. Meanwhile, back in the TARDIS, the Doctor and Yaz land on Chihan's ship less than 300 years prior to that, to where they encounter Chihan. Not directly, that is. The Doctor and Yaz quickly notice something strange is going on Chihan's ship, which is that Chihan is ordering all of his crew to jump ship, or rather, or face his wrath. They begin to think that it's a mutiny happening on his ship, but then they quickly realize that that is not the case. That Chihan has actually gone a bit mad, forcing all of his men to jump ship and jump into the water. And even some of his men, who are clearly still loyal to him, are completely baffled by this sudden change of character from him. The Doctor and Yaz, while hiding behind a barrel, as seen in this picture, obviously, are curious as to what could have caused this dramatic shift in Chihan's relationship with his crew. But then they quickly get their answer in the form of the original Sea Devil commander who materialized on his ship. Because apparently Sea Devils can teleport in this episode, although maybe just this one specifically, because he's the only one we actually see using any kind of teleportation technology in the entire episode. But I don't know, it gets a bit complicated at times. In any case, Chihan then Chihan then kneels in front of the Sea Devil, claiming that he did what he asked. Now, will he please leave him alone? Unfortunately for him, the Sea Devil never really intended on letting him go. At this moment, the Doctor quickly realizes that this specific Sea Devil is nothing like the Sea Devils he has already encountered once before, which were much more peaceful scientists that only went to war when they were attacked first. This specific Sea Devil appears to be much more vicious and bloodthirsty and ruthless in his disdain for humans, which he calls land parasites. Uh, the Doctor and Yaz are being forced to leave Chihan's ship in the past, completely unaware of what happened to the ship's captain. Meanwhile, in the present, Dan and the young man who have joined Madame Ching's crew at the moment, who are now her only crew at the moment, were being attacked by a giant sea monster, which was allegedly controlled by the Sea Devils themselves. She orders them to man the cannons. Then all three of them shoot three cannonballs at the approaching sea monster, which initially seemed to have damaged the creature, only to be revealed seconds later that the creature has simply swallowed all three of those cannonballs and launched all three of them back out into uh, back out of the water and collided with each other, and then all three of them exploded upon contact. The creature then proceeds to attack the ship itself. Meanwhile, the Doctor and Yaz go back to 1907 and land the TARDIS at the bottom of the ocean, which the Doctor then continues to open the doors to the TARDIS to try and find Chihan's ship on the seafloor. Initially, both the Doctor and Yaz are taken aback by the immense beauty of the seafloor around them. Which, might I add, this is actually the first time in the show's history where we actually get to see the TARDIS on the bottom of the ocean with the doors open. We have seen the TARDIS being with the doors open in the vacuum of space, looking out to galaxies and planets and solar systems in the horizon, and we have actually seen the TARDIS land on the bottom of the sea floor in the final episode of the War Games, when the second Doctor tried to run away from the Time Lord pursuers, who have finally caught up to him after many years of traveling, or rather, after many years on the run from them. But this is actually the first time we see the TARDIS from the outside on the seafloor, with the doors being open, and the Doctor and a companion overlooking everything around them outside the TARDIS. Something I felt was pretty interesting, and the scene itself, if I might add, was actually visually stunning. In any case, while the Doctor and Yaz are looking out into the beauty of the ocean, the Doctor quickly gives in a throwaway line saying, not a bad date, am I?" Which then goes into a certain storyline that was originally teased in Series 13, specifically in the episode Survivors of the Flux, but what was much more expanded upon in Eve of the Daleks, the previous episode to this one, which is that over the course of the several years that Yaz has been traveling with the Doctor, she has developed feelings for her, and the Doctor, especially in last episode, Eve of the Daleks, has started to pick up on that. However, since the Doctor has already gone through this dance several times before, once with Rose Tyler and another time with River Song, and potentially other times with other companions that I'm forgetting at the moment. But yeah, the Doctor at this point knows that her and Yaz cannot have a romantic relationship together, because not only does the Doctor know that time is catching up with her, and that her time in this specific incarnation is slowly coming to an end. Even if that didn't happen, if that final adventure as the 13th Doctor wasn't just around the corner, the Doctor knows that it will happen eventually. And just like the 10th Doctor told Rose before her, the Doctor doesn't age; they regenerate. While humans decay, and that is the main reason why. Humans decay; they wither and they die, which is the main reason why the Doctor cannot attach themselves to any one particular individual, knowing that they will eventually outlive them, and when that happens, it's going to hurt not just the individual that they would attach themselves to, but also, and more importantly, to the Doctor herself. More on that later towards the end of the episode, but around that point, the Doctor has actually decided to bring up a very important piece of information that even Yaz had appeared to have not noticed up until now. As the Doctor herself puts it, "No ship, Sherlock." So yeah, the Chihan's ship, including the sunken treasure were nowhere to be found. The doctor quickly investigates by scanning uh, the floor of the seabed right beneath them, which then begins to shake and quake and fall apart, leading to the TARDIS being suspended in the exact same location it was this entire time, except this time there is no sea floor beneath them to hold the TARDIS in place. Curious as to what happened, the TARDIS was then attacked by the same sea monster that has attacked Madame Ching's ship a couple of minutes earlier or later. I'm not 100% sure on the pacing, and I'm not even sure that at this point, I'm not even sure it was the same sea monster, whether or not it was the same sea monster doing both attacking the pirate ship and the same sea monster who grabbed the TARDIS in its jaws, or if it was two completely different sea monsters. But unfortunately, and I brought this up on my review on my channel, this is part of the disappointment from this episode, is that uh, this sea monster was not seen again in the entire episode after this scene or the other scene. I can't remember which one came first or last, but yeah, the sea monster, which was a really cool concept initially, yeah, it was kind of gone immediately after that. In any case, next time we see the Doctor and Yaz and the TARDIS, it was inside the Sea Devil's base. I suppose I can take this picture off and apologize. Just like last week's episode, I'm a little short on proper images and screenshots from that episode, so you'll just have to contend with looking at my stupid face for a few more minutes. In any case, once the Doctor and Yaz were brought to the Sea Devil's base, the Doctor quickly tries to distract the main Sea Devil commander, this guy to be specific, by talking, while she allowed herself some time to think of a plan to stop them, or at the very least, what the Sea Devils were up to. They the Sea Devil commander then mentions a sort of crystal that him and the rest of the Sea Devils were looking for, which piques the Doctor's interest, and which I believe was also the same. I believe that the crystal was alluded to when the Doctor and Yaz were on Chihan's ship several centuries in the past. The Doctor and Yaz then confront the main Sea Devil. I apologize. The Doctor and Yaz then confront the main Sea Devil commander regarding Chihan himself, telling him that he forced him to commit mutiny on his own men and throw them overboard. The Sea Devil then leads the Doctor and Yaz to another chamber in the Sea Devil base, revealing that Chihan was actually being kept prisoner there in the base itself, and not only that, he was alive and conscious the entire time he was in prison, frozen in a sort of frozen in sort of not so much suspended animation, but just he was sort of frozen in a prison, which not only kept him alive uh, uh, through all that time, but as I mentioned, also conscious the entire time, while the rest of the world has moved on without him. Which, if you ask me, that's like the highest form of torture any person can endure, especially considering what he has done. Regardless, the Sea Devil gets distracted by what the Doctor can only surmise as a phone call from the other Sea Devils uh, on the surface, and the Doctor takes this time to comfort Chihan, telling him that they're going to help save him and that they're going to help retrieve the crystal. In the meantime, they also ask Chihan what is so special about this crystal that everyone is trying to achieve, or rather to obtain, I should say. And Chihan reveals that it can transform matter into it can be used to transform any type of matter into any other type of matter, regardless of whether or not they have any interactions with. Sorry, having a bit of a trouble remembering the exact quote, but the Doctor then quickly realizes that it's Sea Devil technology, which they at the time used for terraformation. The Doctor cannot conceive at the moment what the Sea Devils were planning to do with that kind of technology, but you can only guess is really not good. In the meantime, the commanding Sea Devil came back, uh, letting the Doctor and Yaz know that he now knows that the Doctor and Yaz are lying and that they don't have the crystal with them, saying that the crystal itself is actually on the water's surface, on board Madame Ching's ship. Something that I forgot to mention earlier in the episode was that uh, the Sea Devil commander led the Doctor and Yaz to Jihan's sunken ship, which is now under the command of the Sea Devils. The Doctor inquires him why did he even need a ship since they are aquatic creatures, which the Sea Devil himself reveals that they don't need the ship specifically, but it does instill fear in the hearts of men, which was um, the Sea Devil's goal initially. So I suppose this sort of explains the concept of ghost ships in lots of pirate stories and whatnot. In any case, the Doctor quickly distracts the main Sea Devil commander, and during the confusion, she uses her sonic to release Chi-Han from his prison and bring the ship all the way up to the surface, right next to Madame Ching's right next to Madame Ching's ship, to which the Doctor, Yaz, and Chi-Han then quickly jump ship from Chi-Han's old ship into Madame Ching's ship to try and reconnect with both Dan, Madame Ching, and the young villager. While initially Madame Ching is awestruck by the revelation that Chi-Han was actually alive, they don't really have much time to discuss this because the Doctor then inquires Chi-Han about the crystal itself, which is then revealed to be a necklace strung around the chest of the young villager whose father died in the beginning of the episode, which is then revealed by which then he proceeds to reveal that that it's a family heirloom that has been in his family for generations, which leads Jihan to realize that this young villager is actually the descendant of his most trusted crew member that we saw earlier in the episode. The Sea Devils the main Sea Devil commander then teleports onto Madame Ching's ship because, again, apparently Sea Devils can do that now, and then he quickly grabs the crystal, threatening to kill the young villager, but then eventually takes the crystal for himself and teleports back to Jihan's old broken ship, intending to use the crystal to terraform the Earth and melt all the ice and change the magnetic configuration of the poles on planet Earth, which will result in all the poles on Earth melting, flooding the entire planet, making it much more suitable for his kind. Which is sort of, in a way, similar to the plan that the Silurians had in their debut episode, except in their debut episode, they planned on removing a certain layer of the ozone. I apologize, I can't remember exactly what that layer was called, but it was meant to make the entire world much more suitable for reptilian creatures and very less suitable for warm-blooded mammalian creatures, which would eventually result in the death of all warm-blooded creatures like humans, apes, and various other mammals, and would give rise to the reptiles, including themselves. So the Sea Devils. Oops, I apologize. I suppose I can take this off now. So yeah, this is what the Sea Devils plan were trying to do for themselves: just melt all the ice caps flooding the world and allowing all aquatic life to take their dominance over the entire planet, which, much like these sea devils from back in the day, believed rightfully belonged to them. The Doctor and company then quickly jump back on board Jihan's ship, where the Doctor gets to yell out one of her previous selves' iconic catchphrase, Geronimo! The team, once on board the Sea Devil's ship, the team then split up. Once on board Jihan's old ship, this quickly resolves into a devolves into a classic pirate sword fight uh, between uh, between the humans and sea devils, where the Doctor gets to uh, gets to pull off some moves with a sea devil weapon. However, unfortunately, since it has been some time since her third incarnation, which also had a sword fight with the Master during their the first Sea Devil episode, and also being sometime after the 10th Doctor, who was also has dabbled in sword fights uh, on multiple occasions. The Doctor was slightly rusty, so yeah, gone are the days where the Doctor can have a sword fight against Robin Hood with a spoon and yet still somehow come out on top. So yeah, she was quite. She did have several good moves during the fight, but for the most part, the Sea Devil had bested her several times until she eventually used her one true proper weapon, uh, her sonic screwdriver, by changing the very nature of the Sea Devil's sword. In the meantime, the rest of the humans defeated the Sea Devils by throwing most of them back into the water, while the Doctor was about to go deeper into one of the chambers of the ship to try and bring it down. But Jihan then finally took his vengeance by killing the Sea Devil commander who had imprisoned him for all this time. And something pretty interesting that I noticed on the second viewing of this episode, didn't quite catch that the first time around, but um, when Jihan stabs the Sea Devil to death, the Sea Devil screams in pain and agony, which is actually very, very similar to the same scream sound effect that the Sea Devils have had in their original debut episode, when the Doctor used the sonic screwdriver to blow up some of the mines in the minefield to scare off one of the Sea Devils, as mentioned last episode. So yeah, didn't quite catch that the first time around, but it was a really nice, interesting bit of continuity with the Sea Devils there. The Doctor then goes back into the main chamber of the ship, and then she brings back the whole ship down underwater back into the Sea Devil base, where she tampers with some of the Sea Devil machinery and gives Dan a sword, which one of the Sea Devil's sword, telling him that it is only allowed to be used in the event of emergencies. And then he goes, and she tells him to go with Jihan, Madam Ching, and the villager back to hold back the approaching Sea Devils, while her and Yaz will go and try to the main chamber and try to find a way to stop the Sea Devil's plan from going forward. Jihan and Dan do share a bit of an interesting moment there in the cave, while the villager and Madame Ching go to another separate room to try and recover the lost treasure of the Fleur de la Mar, on the request of Mr. Jihan himself, saying that after all the wrongs that came out of him looking for the treasure and inadvertently reawaking the Sea Devils in the process, he hopes that the treasure can do some good in the world now, namely being used to pay off the pirates who are keeping Madame Ching's crew hostage and reuniting her with her sons. In the meantime, the rest of the Sea Devils show up, and Dan, believing that this is an emergency, used the sword to strike down an entire squad of the Sea Devils. To which Shihan asks him, "Where did you learn to fight like that?" To which he replies by saying, "You should meet my mom," which is a reference to War of the Sontarans, when Dan's mom and dad were fighting off Sontarans with frying pans, which is just funny and clever in my opinion. Um, in any case, the doc. Sorry, I think this picture is appropriate here. So yeah, the Doctor and Yaz then go to the main Sea Devil's chamber, where the Doctor finally acknowledges some of the stuff that she said to Yaz earlier in the episode, in particular here, concerning when she said that she's not a bad date. She then moves on to explain to Yaz that she cannot, sorry, that these things have happened to her before, and she even drops a reference to River Song herself by mentioning that she has a wife, or rather, she had a wife. But this bit of conversation between Yaz and the Doctor is still left unresolved at the moment, when because the Doctor was distracted by the conversation itself. She left the rest of the machinery unattended, which resulted in the acceleration of the self-destruct sequence that the Doctor was planning on to initiate. Which, in a way, it's once again pretty similar to this story, the Sea Devils. There are a lot of parallels between both of these stories, not just in the idea that it features the Sea Devils, but also the Doctor using technology which was initially supposed to help the Sea Devils. She uses it against them to destroy their base and prevent their war against humanity. So I suppose it's a very interesting and fitting for this episode. In any case, the Doctor tells Yaz and crew tells Yaz to go back and find Dan and the others and go back to the TARDIS, while she holds two cables together to ensure that the base to ensure that the Sea Devil's the Sea Devil's plan doesn't go out as planned, and that the entire base goes down with the device. But she's then interrupted by the arrival of Mr. Shihan, who begs the Doctor to leave him behind and let him do some good in the world, claiming that he does not belong in this world anymore, that his time has long since passed, and that he wants to perish the way the way he wants to, and not the way the Sea Devils had previously determined for him. He much prefers to die in honor, allowing the Doctor and her friends to escape. The Doctor and Yaz then quickly make a run for it back to find Dan, the villager, and Madame Ching, go back into the TARDIS with the lost treasure, so they can leave the Sea Devil's base as it collapses in on itself, and return back to Madame Ching's ship on the surface. Madame Ching and the villager and inspect the treasure that they were able to steal from the Sea Devils, determining that, just like she suspected, this treasure would be enough to be able to reunite her with her sons. And she then offers the young villager. She then offers the young villager a spot on her crew, which she then proceeds to very comically hug her. To which she then replies by saying, "Don't ever do that again," which I thought was pretty funny. In the meantime, the Doctor, Yaz, and Dan go back to where the TARDIS was at the beginning of the episode, to sort of have a few conversations with each other. Dan uses his phone to call back Di, which he hasn't spoken to. Which he hasn't spoken with since the events of the Flux. where they try and sort of rekindle the relationship that they've had prior to all the craziness of the universe ending as a result of the flux. Meanwhile, Yaz and the Doctor, which I apologize, I don't really have much of a good picture for it. Um, so I'll just use this one. The Doctor and Yaz sit down on a beachfront where they discuss the merits of the Doctor being engaged in a relationship, in a romantic relationship with Yaz, explaining the sort of stuff I talked about earlier, that the Doctor can't quite afford to tie herself with anyone because she knows how much it will hurt both her and anyone who she chooses to associate herself with. Uh, the Doctor then also drops in a few hints to the fact that her time is catching up with her, knowing full well that this very well might be the last couple of times, the last couple of adventures that she could have with Yaz and Dan in this current body that she happens to use at the moment. Um, to which then Yaz replies by saying that her nanny you always used to say that courage is knowing something will hurt and doing it anyway, which mirrors something that the Third Doctor, I believe, said to Sarah Jane Smith in his final episode, or sorry, I think he might have actually said it to Athal in Planet of the Daleks. Either way, this is a quote that's heavily attributed to the Third Doctor, saying, "Courage isn't just a matter of not being frightened. It's being afraid and doing what you have to do anyway." The only amendment to that is that Yaz also mentions that Hernani used to say that that cheeky line was that line was, in her opinion, the essence of stupidity itself. But I suppose it's just a bit of a cheeky bit of dialogue from the showrunners commentating on the original line by John Pertwee. In any case, Yaz gives the Doctor one of the rocks that she picks up from the shore, telling her to skim it across the water and make a wish, and maybe it'll come true. The Doctor then proceeds to openly say her wish, where Yaz says that she's not supposed to say her wish, but the Doctor replies by saying that you can't say that your wish out loud where she comes from, which is a bit of interesting Gallifreyan lore that I did not know up until that point. But yeah, so the Doctor makes her wish, saying that she wishes that this could go on forever. Unfortunately, and then she proceeds to skim the rock across the water surface. Unfortunately for all of us, we all know that her wish is doomed to never coming true, as the episode itself then ends with a next time, or rather, sorry, coming soon trailer teasing the 13th Doctor's final adventure, which also gives us, teases the return of Sacha Dhawan's The Master, Gemma Redgrave as Kate Stewart, the Daleks, the Cybermen, including the lone Cyberman himself, Ashad, who is apparently alive now for some reason, as well as returning companions, Dorothy Ace McShane, played by Sophie Eldred, and Tegan Jovanka, played by Janet Fielding. Of course, also the coming soon trailer then proceeds to end with presumably a red herring showing us the 13th Doctor beginning to regenerate in the TARDIS in front of Yaz. But that is a story for another time. So this was my attempt at a breakdown of Legend of the Sea Devils, which, in my opinion, wasn't quite as proficient as my breakdown of the Sea Devils from last week. But keep in mind, as I mentioned, that episode was much longer, so I had more stuff to talk about. And in my attempt in making this episode at least 50 minutes long, and I believe right now we have just crossed the 50-minute mark right now, and yeah, I tried to add more stuff to this breakdown of the episode to try and make it a bit longer, to sort of not make this episode too short. But well, that's just me and my storytelling abilities. Next week, I will be back with another breakdown of another story featuring the 13th Doctor encountering Sea Devils, except this time we will also be joined by the 10th Doctor and maybe several other familiar faces. But as I mentioned earlier, that is a story for another time. So, yeah, be sure to join us there. In the meantime, if you like I said, if you're interested to know my full thoughts on this episode, be sure to check out my full review on it over on my channel, 50 Shades of Geek. I also do lots of other stuff that isn't necessarily tied to Doctor Who. I did a Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness review earlier. Well, from my point of view, earlier the week, but when you'll see this, it will already have been last week. So make sure to check that out. I do all sorts of other stuff on my channel as well. I also can be found on this channel, the Northern Entertainment Group YouTube channel, alongside my good friends Ben and Soda on Northern Countdown. Ben also has his own channel, Multiverse of Geekdom, where he does all kinds of fun stuff there, like a Star Wars show called Jedi Academy. He has Unwind with Ben, with himself and all kinds of other guests. He has the Weekly Geekdom, and he's also got plenty of other plans for the future. Ben and Soda can also be found on this channel on a show called Rewind the Tape. Soda can also be found on a wrestling show called The Squared Slice. And speaking of Star Wars, we may make sure to check. And also on this channel we have a show where they talk about lesser television called Have You Seen This? With Snark, Daniel, and sometimes Dave. And also speaking of Star Wars, in honor of Star Wars Day that happened last week, make sure to check out my good friend Taco on his channel, Something to Taco About. He also has a show, a recurring event called the Geek Gauntlet. So make sure to check out that, and also check out one of our other good friends, Jess the Kiwi, on her channel, Kiwi Jess. I believe I've talked long enough to fill in the time of a full-length episode of this show, and now I have to go give my voice some time to rest because I've been talking for far too long. So thank you for keeping up with me, if you have, and I will see you next time for some more Doctor Who Sea Devil madness. So until the next episode, just as the Doctor said in this episode, Geronimo!